Imagine, if you will, a simple visualization you could put in front of your clients that showed them the value of your tax advisory services. You should opt into this proposal because last year it could have saved you this whole pile of money. This year it could save you this much money, and next year, look at that. So even if you're paying me, you're putting a whole pile of money back in your pocket. Man, that's your new boat. Honestly, that's a big boat.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Looks pretty nice, right? It's Corvée, the sponsor of today's demo day, because our tax software, boy, the reports we get out of there, oh my golly, do nothing to help clients understand what's actually happening. So let's pull in a tool that will help you confidently explain the value of your services. All right, here's how Corvée works. Here's my dashboard, all my clients, 2 agreements, proposals I've sent to clients, 4 questionnaires. These are what gathers the info I need to calc the projection, and file requests in progress, the specific docs I need them to upload to the portal or send direct to me. Let's hop into this client. Across the top, you'll notice it's their 1040 and all of the entities that they own in one place. So you aren't having to send different proposals and do different plans for every single entity. It's all simple and rolled up so the client can understand it. And we can add as many entities as we need right here. I can push to the client's portal agreements, questionnaires, or file requests. My favorite thing here is actually the questionnaires, a little step-by-step set of questions. The client runs through them and then it populates all the various tax saving strategies that may or may not apply to them. It also pulls in their preferences, like do they want to max out their retirement or not. All this data, it's gonna flow back to the calculation engine, and I can have the client put all that data in via the questionnaire, or I can just do it myself. I could give them a call, fill it out on the fly. All right, documents here. If tax returns are uploaded, for example, Corvée will actually scan the documents and extract any information that's needed for the tax planning calculations. Now, tax planning inputs. These are all the various inputs that are going to drive the calculation engine. Again, when the client completes that questionnaire, it's gonna auto-populate that data into here, or I can do it myself. And down here, we've got actual form inputs, like tax form inputs, or you can populate amounts from prior year returns, for example, to get the specifics in there that are necessary for it to calculate this stuff correctly. On to the tax planning estimator. The calculations are done at each entity. You can see the summary over on the right-hand side here. Now we're looking at the 1040. All of Corvée's calculations are driven by specific strategies. So this is a list of strategies that could be employed. Here's a simple IRA, for example. We can drill into it. Here are the questionnaire inputs that are driving the calculation. Probably worth double checking to ensure that the client did this correctly and you agree with their answers. Calculations are done not just at the federal level, but at the state levels also. This is step-by-step how the deduction or credit was calculated. Then here, how they calculated the savings of the strategy. So like the delta of what this will actually save you, even taking into account their other entities. Further down, we've got an explanation of the strategy, any assumptions we've made, requirements, other considerations, even conflicting strategies. Let's flip over to one of the entities. So I got a whole different set of options here. First, a section for entity selection. If I'm gonna change this from a Schedule C to an S Corp, for example, this shows the overall impact before factoring in reasonable comp. Loads of strategies here, big long list, but the cool thing, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, is you can actually load in your own custom strategies that'll show up in all of your reports and tax savings calculations. So I can put my own stuff in there in addition to their strategies. Back to the top, we've got 2024 selected, but we can also change the prior year and the following year to do multiple years of planning at a time. But on to the fun stuff. I've got the client and all their entities selected on the right here. If you wanted to run separate calculations and a separate proposal for each, you could. I'm just gonna run them all together here. Now, drilling into this view multi-entity calculation, we can see before and after the strategies are employed. Then down here, the full detail at each entity level, because if there's a blocker here, it's, I don't know, how do I trust this to calculate everything the same way that my tax software would, right? The risk of proposing, we're gonna do this thing and save you X, only to then later go and prepare the return and be like, sorry, nope, you actually can't do that. There was an issue with the calculation. The nice thing here is if you really want to, you can go run those calculations in your tax software, put them alongside the detail provided here to make sure you agree with the outcome. Now the calculation engine stuff here, super cool, really powerful, but my favorite part of the platform is the last 2 things I'm gonna show you. The proposal that goes to the client, and then the plan that goes to the client in the end. The thing that communicates all of the value of this work and allows me to price these engagements more aggressively. So let's look at a proposal for this engagement. It's gonna generate all these slides. In fact, here's the slide we touched on earlier, the estimated overpayment by year for not employing these strategies. So we're immediately framing it in terms of the real cash value to the client. Now, these are all estimated figures because the more detailed info gathering happens after this proposal is accepted. This is also what, in my opinion, makes this not contingent fees. We're not tying the pricing to an outcome or the output somehow. It's being done up front. Now, if you're afraid of your estimates being off, honestly, you could do all the info gathering before you even send the proposal. And then you only hand over the work and implement the strategies if they accept that proposal. So if you're afraid of the estimate being wrong, you can actually hop in and do some of the work to ensure that that estimate is more accurate. Then here's the savings framed in the context of what your fee is to put that all into perspective for the client. Lots of slides in this report. You can remove pages. You can edit any of the text on these slides. Like if I was their tax pro last year, maybe I don't want to highlight how much tax savings they missed out on last year. You can modify the templates in here, even create your own templates. So this can look like whatever you want it to look like. I cannot stress enough how much money this framing ought to make your firm. If you're running a tax firm, the highest margin service you can sell by a mile is tax advisory. Most of us, though, are still just doing tax prep. Your advisory services honestly ought to be like 2 to 5x as profitable. And it's what keeps your clients around because they see, oh, this is the value of what they're doing for me. Not just completing some forms or putting numbers in a software. Like they are genuinely putting money back into my pocket with these strategies. Now, assuming they accept that proposal, that's when I'm probably gonna start doing more detailed info gathering. And when you add everything in there, that's when you'll actually run like the plan, the final deliverable. Let's take a look here. Similar format. It's gonna generate some slides. Like with the proposal, these can all be tailored. From the top, it's gonna highlight outright savings, not just this year, but cumulative year-over-year savings. Next, it breaks it down by entity, followed by the recommended strategies at the 1040 level and in each entity. We could do a whole video like just walking through this report. Look at this. Retirement plan comparison chart, implementation and next steps. Tons of detailed info here, and I love how I can actually build upon it with my own custom stuff, especially if I work with a specific type of client and they have something that commonly applies to them. I can augment this with like strategies specific to my beekeeping clients, making this a super compelling service offering, but also very specific to the clients I want to attract. And it's a good idea to put some of these visuals in my marketing materials. So if I'm going after a specific niche, customizing my report template to use vernacular that's relevant to them, and then putting examples of that on my landing page in my weekly newsletter, if that thing's going out to both clients and non-clients, man, that is gonna make you look really smart while ensuring you are actually like getting paid top dollar for your tax advisory work. If I'm running a tax firm, frankly, this one's probably a no-brainer for me. It's gonna pay for itself after my first, 1 or 2 tax plans. To learn more about CoreV, check out the link in the video description. And thanks for coming along for today's demo day. If you like this one, you've done a whole bunch. I'll link the playlist because running an accounting firm these days, man, you gotta be like a PhD in accounting technology, how to make software, do the things and plug this into that. And before you know, you got 100 tools that are all going different.